Hello, this is Chief John Miller. I want to give you a recap on how things went for spring break. Traffic was thick. We did have to implement the traffic plan that we haven't had to do for a couple of years, but we did late in the afternoon on Saturday, and that lasted pretty much all through the rest of the day. So what we actually did was we went to one lane for traffic and one lane both directions to be used as an emergency lane for first responders. Now we had to do that because traffic had gotten so thick we were having a hard time getting first responders around, and traffic had started to grow, had started to slow down to the point where it was almost gridlocked. At one point it did completely stop, and so we said we're going to have to do this right now to get traffic moving again. Now, you know, there are those that would say that, well, you went from 2 lanes to 1 lane, so how do you think your traffic's going to move quicker? Well, let me tell you how that works. When we go down to 1 lane, that gives the police officers the ability to move around pretty quickly, get where they need to. They can find out where the traffic delays are, get out right there and get that traffic moving again. Without the emergency lane, they have the same problem everybody else has, and that's trying to get around. So we just could not let that happen. So we can actually effectively move more traffic quicker on 1 lane as long as there's officers finding out where these holdups are and getting that traffic on through.
Not to mention if someone dials 911,
we can get to them. You know, it'd be horrible to think that you had a loved one that was having a heart attack or any kind of medical problem, and you couldn't get to them. Well, let's just say there's a lost child, you know, in a neighborhood somewhere. That's a horrible feeling when you're the police officer. You can imagine how the parents feel if you're a police officer trying to get there to find this young child before something bad happens. And that's just, so it could be anything. But we have to be able to get around. We have to be able to respond the same as the fire department and the same as other emergency services like AMR.
Chief, what about in general? How did you think things went?
I thought things went very well. We had somewhere around 30,000. Probably a little more than that, but we're being conservative, around 30,000. The problem with this particular event was that 30,000 were for the most part in one small area. Now, you had some folks spread out all over the city. Some that came to East Biloxi, enjoyed the beaches in East Biloxi and the restaurants in East Biloxi. But for the most part, the biggest portion of those folks were gathered in one small area, which in turn led to the traffic issues. It's human nature. When you're traveling down the roadway and there's some event or something going on, you're going to slow down to see what it is. And so there is where the traffic problems came. Now, if we had that, all those folks have been spread out across, maybe not just in Biloxi, but absolutely across the coast, we would not have had the traffic issues that we had. But it is what it is. But we know that. We know that people, I don't care who you are, you're going to slow down and look if there's something going on. And then on top of that, we had a lot of people that would dart across the roadway. This is US Highway 90, but people would dart across the roadway. Every time somebody darts, traffic has to slow down or sometimes even completely stop while these people get across the roadway. And if that's going on up and down the roadway, you know, many times at the same time, traffic again is just held up.
Chief, anything else? We got 30 seconds here. How would you sum up the whole weekend and your officers? You had, what, 120 something out there at any given time. They did a magnificent job.
Well, thank you for saying that. We, you know, thanks to the Sheriff's Department for giving us a hand. They sent us quite a few officers. We had some out-of-town officers that came down to help us out. So without all those officers being in place, we really would have had, like I said, a bigger traffic issue than we had.
We focus a lot on traffic, we focus a lot on the issues, but you got to believe there were a bunch of people that came into town that just had a great time.
Well, that's what we hear. You know, we hear that a lot of people came to town, a lot of people had a great time. As a matter of fact, I've heard very few say they didn't have a good time. There were some complaints about the traffic plan, but it is what it is. And if someone could show me a better plan, we'll be glad to look at it. But keep in mind, we've been doing this for many years now, and we've gotten this refined. We know that it works. We write less citations. We have less accidents when the traffic plan's in place, and that's the cones being out there. We know it works. I apologize to some of the residents that couldn't get around like they wanted to. But again, when you take that many folks and stuff them into that small area, you can expect these kind of delays. And there's really, other than trying to keep that traffic moving and jumping right on a problem when it's occurring, there's not much more we can do than that. If our infrastructure was if we had a 6-lane highway, we wouldn't be having these problems.
And now it's on to May 4 and 5, right? What's that
right.
event?
That's right. We're going to have the air show, which the city of Biloxi is working jointly with Keesler Air Force Base to put on the air show. We expect a large crowd for that, and again, we're going to have a traffic plan in place, and again, there will be traffic delays. We know that, so my advice right now is to come early. If you're going to be one of the ones that goes to that go to the beach instead of going to Keesler, or however you're going to work it, if you could plan on coming yourself, come early. Be prepared to stay late. Make sure you have what you need with you, which is anything you need for the beach, whether it be an umbrella. I would recommend that you have some cover, umbrellas, or certainly make sure that you have some sunscreen, plenty of fluids, some food, and just come prepared to make a day out of it, and just enjoy yourself, and don't stress yourself over. Well, I left late, and I'm having a hard time getting there, or I can't find a parking place. Come early. Be the person that gets here, that gets the good parking place, that sets up where they want to, and just have a good day.
Chief Miller, thank you very much. Great job this weekend.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.